Hello everyone, I'm back, and before I even get into this, I want to let you know that the sound quality is probably not going to be the best today. It is because the studio that I usually film in is under construction for the next couple weeks. I'm hoping in the new year you'll get some better quality episodes, but thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm super excited for our guest today. My guest today is Kaiia Eve, and I'm going to introduce her in just a moment, but I did want to give you guys a little bit of life updates. I'm not thinking that there's going to be an episode next week. Just to finish things off and relax and come up with some goals for the next year. I hope you're coming up with yours too. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode. I was just gone for 3 weeks on vacation, so that was great. I literally never take time off. I never take time away from work. I also just had an interview for a reality show, which I'm not going to give you guys any more information about that. But I'm curious to see how it turns out, if anything happens. And yeah, I hope that you guys are having an amazing holiday, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the new year. Welcome to the show, Kaiia Eve. Kaiia filled in last minute for someone that canceled, so I am super thankful for you. I've been wanting to talk to you on here. You've been on my list of future podcast guests, so I'm really glad that it worked out. We share a bestie in common, Layla. Going through your Twitter earlier, and I was trying to come up with an intro for you, or a little oh, who is Kaiia? And I saw this caption, and it says, I can be your bratty sister or your tattooed stepmommy. Do you think that that's pretty accurate for you?
Yes, that's definitely what I've gone for, and big old yes.
I was like, this is too good. This is the perfect caption, and you kind of just hit a broad audience, so I love that. How would you describe yourself? Talk about yourself a little bit. Who is Kaiia? How long have you been in the industry? What do you like to do?
Cool. Well, I started just, by the way, I have contacts in, fake eyelashes, mascara, and eyeliner, so if it looks like I'm rolling my eyes, I am not. I'm fixing my contacts. So I started making content in October of 2017 when I lived in Denver, and I kind of realized that I did all that I could do in Denver that I wanted to do, and I was like, well, I guess I should move to Vegas to do porn. So I relocated in 2019, and that honestly was an interesting journey those couple years, because to preface, I started sex work after I did college, and I actually was doing an internship to become a social worker when I quit. I was working in a restaurant full time as well, and I quit all that and I started to do sex work just because it's the direction that I kind of felt I have always wanted to go in. And there was definitely a situation where I was oh fuck, I need to, figure this out for my family. And anyway, so sex work is a big reason of how I got there. So once I got into it, I was holy shit, this is awesome. Yeah. I can make just as much, if not more money doing this, that I was gonna do being a social worker, which isn't something that I don't want to not do, because my heart is very I'm all about human rights, and that was a big part of my life. That was a big part of my life before porn, but nonetheless, I had to, I got to where I wasn't in the industry in Colorado, and I was wow, I just there's just so much more that I could be doing. Yeah. So that's why I moved to Vegas 2019. I started doing girl, mainstream, I guess, for, I mainly fought for, evolved fights. I was doing, sex wrestling.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. So that's actually a really big reason that I moved to Vegas. Really very long, complicated story, but there was a person in my life who really inspired me to, do wrestling, and they weren't really wrestling at the time, but they are now a pro wrestler. We're kind of estranged friends, but, they are a big reason that I wound up to where I was, and, despite us not really being in each other's lives, I very much so honor and cherish that I had, that Aww. Big, leap to, go that direction, and, anyways, it was super cool, and then, yeah, I was, whole other part of my life, I was married, and I was in a relationship that was not the best relationship in the world. And it was just like very hard to do my job and start to try to do boy girl porn, which is what I wanted to do because, I'm just like, I'm bisexual. So why the fuck would I want to just do girl porn? That's silly. So, there just was a lot of like, not understanding of that. So I was like, okay, well, you want to know what? Like, porn is it wasn't even porn. My career, which so happens to be this,
Yes.
was more important to me than laying down my career and being under this very, misogynistic thing as well, where like I couldn't do that. So like I left in 2020. I lived with Lydia Black for a while. I went through a whole fucking thing. Life is crazy outside, like we all have a personal life.
Yeah.
And I ended up like between all that getting to like where I am now in Vegas, and like through all of that, like there's a whole change of brand. Like I didn't know who I was when I came into this, and you make content and you're like, oh, I like doing squirting stuff, but then I was then I was like making videos where I was like writing dildos on mirrors, and I was like, I hate these videos. Well,
I broke a mirror doing that. I fucking fully broke an Kaiia mirror doing that.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary, but also scary. There's very fragile pieces. So I was like, like, so it was just a whole, like, if you go back to like Kaiia, like I have 3-minute videos where it's like, what is this bitch doing?
Yeah.
But like now you look at my content and I straight up like, I have full on productions going on. And so that's happened all the way from 2017 to essentially 2021. And I have changed so much as a performer through that. And I know that was maybe a little more lengthy of an answer than what you wanted.
I think that's great. Like, because you said so many things that are interesting. Like, the fact that you said that you were going to be a social worker, and then you realized, like, hey, I'm much happier with porn. I think it's really cool that, like, you recognize that you're still passionate about that. And, like, who knows, maybe 20 years from now, you're like, you know what, I want to do social work again. It was the same for me. Like, I worked with Alzheimer's patients. I had my CNA license and everything like that, and I was so passionate about it. But I was like, you know what, like, later in life, maybe I'll circle back. Maybe I won't, but I need to, like, chase what I'm doing now. And then I also like that you kind of, like, gave props to the person that inspired you to try fighting. Because even though, like, I mean, fuck, in this industry, people have falling outs all the time. In personal lives, we have falling outs, but it's really cool to, like, recognize, like, hey, even though, like, we're not meant to be in each other's lives, this person kind of, like, helped me become who I am now, which I think is really cool. So you mentioned Evolved Fights, and I want to read this fan's question.
Okay.
He said, what was it like working for Evolved Fights? Which I haven't heard of the company or site before, but they said, I've been a fan of their site and Ultimate Surrender forever and would like to know what it's like to shoot that sort of content. So, take the floor. What has it been like for you? And I mean, honestly, for people that don't know what Evolved Fights is, what is it?
Okay, yeah, I could start there for sure. So evolvedfights.com, evolvedfights.les, I believe is the other site. There's 2 sites. It's ran by Ariel X, who is you should definitely interview her for your podcast. She's probably one of the coolest people in the entire fucking industry. She is just like a producer that took a chance on being like, okay, new girl, I'll hire you. And, in the end, she has supported me in more ways than any producer or director has, personally. Great person. So to start, she's amazing. Please go watch her content and buy her stuff. So next, Evolved Fights comes from originally Ultimate Surrender, which was a site on kink. And it's was badass babes fucking going ham. Like, they know how to wrestle. Ariel's a fucking black belt. Everyone that's wrestling, it was like pro fucking badassery. So, a lot of shit changes in the industry, and Ultimate Surrender is no longer a channel. So Ariel now runs Evolved Fights, and it is sex wrestling. It is 3 rounds, 6-minute rounds. You have to be on your knees. There's no standing, no pinching, no biting. But the most sex wrestling points that you get at the end of the sixth round, winner fucks the loser.
Oh my god, that is so fucking cool. I don't know how I haven't heard of this. That is so dope. Oh my god.
If you're ever in Vegas, I will call you out if you ever want to do a girl sex wrestling
Oh my god,
scene.
no, that sounds so cool. Like, just for the experience. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had to say, like, that's...
No. Like, no, please interrupt. Like, I love talking about this shit, especially like you just saying that. I just wrestled a performer, Nadia Noha, who's a part of my agency, and she was really sweet, and she's a little tiny baby, and she never wrestled before, and I've only lost fights, like 3 or 4 fights, and I've lost all to very professional like wrestlers. I win I win. That's what I do. I win.
That's great.
So, but it was really nice to wrestle with her because like I know kind of what I'm doing now, which I didn't know what I was doing in 2019. I didn't know what a hold was. I didn't know what a pin was. I couldn't do anything. So it was really nice wrestling this girl, Nadia, for her first time because like, you know, she came in and was like, oh my God, what the fuck to expect? But then realized like, oh shit, this is fun. Like we're just here to literally like roll around and lick your armpits and lick your pee and touch your butthole and, you know, whoever humps the most in the end wins. So it's just like, and then boy girl is a little bit different, you know, like I've won a couple, and yes, I pegged the guys who I win against.
Amazing.
I've lost a couple times too, and it's been, you know, against guys who, like, literally I can't even get up. They're so strong, and you're like, whatever. Like, that's the easy day. But it's just like a really fucking awesome experience on set. Like I don't know if the fan is wondering more so like behind the scenes and on the scene, but like behind the scenes, shit's awesome. Ariel's the fucking best. She's constantly making sure that, you know, we're being safe, making sure that our boundaries are met. She checks in. Like if something even looks fucked up, she will hold the scene to ask. Like there is nothing that will stop Ariel from making sure that we're safe. But, you know, Ariel also wants it, like she wants you to wrestle. She teaches, she's taught me a lot of things that have made me, I've had zero other training or experience ever in my life for wrestling, and everything I've learned has definitely just been from an evolved sex fight.
That's so amazing, because like I feel like it's more common now that fans are kind of starting to care about what the behind the scenes is like. Like they're wondering, you know, at the end of the day we are performing, but they're wondering like, does this girl actually like what she's doing? Like, is it safe on set? And for a long time, people did not give a shit. Like, they were just watching it. And so, yeah, I think it's great, like, hearing about sites like that, especially ones that, like, you wouldn't typically hear of unless you're, like, into it, you know? And so I think that that's really good because it probably draws more fans to the site feeling like, hey, this is ethical, these girls aren't getting hurt. Like, I mean, they're wrestling, but you know what I mean. Like, it's...
Right, it's always an...
fun.
Right, and, like... That's it. We're all there just to have a good time, and we're all there to watch the winner fuck the loser. So, like,
I love that. That is like, I'm seriously gonna go do my research after this because I need to see what's going on this site. That is so fucking cool. Do you think that's like one of the best or better pro porn experiences that you've had? Because you said that you kind of started like doing your own thing, right? And then you moved to pro. And you have an agency, right, too?
Yeah, I signed with an agency in 2020.
I'm curious about that because, like, a lot of girls are arguing against having agencies now, and so I'm super interested to hear, like, your point of view on, like, why you did go with an agent and, like, how it benefits your career and stuff, because I feel, like, I don't do pro porn, I haven't done it, but I can see, like, pros and cons of both for sure, and so I feel like it would probably be helpful for people to hear.
So actually first I do offer, like $50 sessions where I have this PDF that I have written out and I give you the nittiest of the grittiest, like the goods and the bads.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you know, I can obviously say some of it here, but it's definitely like why I signed with an agency was a business decision. It wasn't because I don't know how to self book. It isn't because I don't want to self book. It isn't because I don't want to have like I am. It's hard to not have control of my business. Like, and I don't mean that in like any way other than like I'm a dominant person. It's just like someone manages my stuff, and like, you know, there's a lot of trust that has to go into this, but like, you know, every single you hear things about every single agency.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what agency that we're talking about, and all of those performers' experiences are valid. And I think talking about agencies dips into like a really complex and complicated part of the industry. I love that my agency gets me exposure. I love that they keep it professional and we're able to have a business relationship. And I love that I have a team who, you know, I think cares about what I have to say to them.
Yeah.
But, you know, nonetheless, like, they care because I care about my business and I don't need a dad.
Yeah.
So I think that it's hard in this industry because, you know, being young is allowed and it just is. But like, it's complicated because it's like, you know, I'm here to run a business. And I know that there are younger performers who all agents have to deal with, who need an agent because they don't want to do necessarily like booking work or
just want to show up and perform and then
get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm not shitting on these people by any means.
Yeah.
And we all have to make our money. But I think that determines your experience with an agency. So if you, I just listened to this really interesting interview today, and I can't say that I necessarily agreed with everything that this performer, her name was Lisa Ann, I think is her name. So honestly, I don't know anything about.
Which podcast was it on? Because I watched one of her recently too.
I just listened to today. It was on a website called XXX Church, which is a whole other thing that I don't even. Like, I didn't dive too deep into it, but, like, she had a lot of good things to say, but it ended with saying that it was spreading, like, they help performers by, like, spreading the word of God. It was really fucking weird, in my opinion. I don't know if I necessarily want to touch on all of that.
Yeah.
The things that she said before all of this in the first 25 minutes, she really touched on some pretty, like, interesting topics that I think is, important to bring up because like this industry is looked at so simply and I've never been in an industry more complex.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Society boils us down to existing on this spectrum and like it is not like I'm turning 29 in a week.
Oh yeah, happy early birthday. I saw it's like the 31st, right?
Yes, thank you. I'm a New Year's. You're almost 30. One more year in my 20s.
So hot. You're gonna peak in your 30s for sure. I feel like 30 to 40 or like 40 to 45. It's like you
can't
just
wait.
Climbing like the MILF ladder, and you just
I can't wait.
hotter. And I can't fucking wait either.
I can't even tell you how excited I am to be MILF. I think about it every day, actually. But like, you know. Like, I listening to that interview today, whether I agree with everything she said or not, it really does make me, I'm like, wow, like, yeah, there is so much to talk about our industry, and a lot of people we don't talk about it, and it's because there is a lot of fear of what could happen if we say shit about something. Oh, don't hire this girl, and, you know, those fears are real, and, I think that's like, you know, it all kind of ties into like, you know, why do I have an agent? I have an agent because it works for me in my business and I know who I am. And listening to her interview, I was like, oh shit. She said like, it's important to like to know who you are. And people like I think like that sounds so simple, right? So simple.
It's hard
But like
though.
it's not. And
Yeah.
like and not to shit on any 19-year-olds, but like how do you know who you are when you're 19? I am a
Oh
complete
my gosh, that is such a powerful statement because, like, I'm 23. I started in this industry second I turned 18. And
yeah.
I look back and I'm like, holy fuck, like, so embarrassing. Like, I probably would have, like, navigated the industry a bit differently. I probably would have just, like, had more boundaries with supporters. Like, had no fucking clue who Lydia was 5 years ago. I barely found out who I was in the last year. Like, it's insane. And so yeah, like I mean we both don't judge like the young girls that are in the industry. I was one of them, but I will say like it's really hard to navigate your career
It makes
correctly
it
at that age because you're pulled
it
in so
makes
many
it that
directions.
much more complex
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like I went to college and I was like I kind of like I knew I wanted to do this job because I wanted to do this job.
Yes. Yeah.
When I was 18, like I was like I could do that, yeah, but like, I actually did have a lot of fear of backlash of like what
Hmm.
could happen. Like my dad, oh, your dad, your mom,
Yeah.
your brother, you're this, you're that. You worry, and of course, like to let everyone know, like I am very fortunate to have the support of my family.
Hmm.
But like, nonetheless, I was listening in my own brain and hearing, and I'm like it's so much more just complex, I think, yeah, when you are literally trying to figure out who you are
Hmm.
and then you're trying to figure out who Kaiia is.
Yeah.
It's really
Oh, it's
like
so hard.
it's and like it's important. I think it's like I can't say because I wasn't young, but it as a porn star, but I was young, and I remember how easily I could lose myself in things and people,
Absolutely.
and could lose who. I mean, I can't even tell you up until I was 23 or 24. Like I was losing myself
Hmm.
and spiraling, and I'm hearing like, oh well, there's drugs in porn, and I'm like, there's drugs
Yeah,
everywhere.
I
Even
got offered more. I personally have not been offered drugs in this industry in like a weird way, but I definitely got
the
offered it like
yeah,
since I was
I
16.
right in my high school party days, my college party days, like it's just like drugs exist when you are a teenager and a young adult.
Yeah.
I don't care where you are. It is not porn. It is not just, it's like it's everywhere. And it's like it's because you're learning and you're growing and like trying to be who you are and experimenting, and I did it all. I probably have done more drugs than more people. I am
Yeah.
proud to say like that, like besides smoking weed, like I am sober now because I
I'm
could
proud of
take
you. That's great.
things like thank you, and like I appreciate it so much because it's like yeah, like I could take drugs and alcohol to like an extreme, and not just like an extreme of like oh she's a party girl, like no, when you're young and you're navigating that, I can't even imagine trying to do that on top of trying to navigate
Oh,
Kaiia.
it's so hard because
Me,
oh sorry.
oh no, go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
because like I relate to that. Like I would say back in 2019, shortly after I turned like what 21, 22, um, I had this like moment where I was dating this guy, and I remember we barely knew each other. We were getting to know each other, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck I am. Like I know who Lydia presents herself to be, but like I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what makes me happy. People ask me what my hobbies are, and I say my hobby's making money. Like, what the fuck is that? And then
Right.
moving to LA, like, I remember going to these, like, influencer parties or, like, these, like, weird events, and I'm just like, what
I,
the fuck is this world? Like,
that's
it was
crazy.
hard. And then, I had a period where I worked with other girls, but I was, like, going to porn parties, but I wasn't really, like, engaging in like pro porn or anything like that, and it was hard enough for me as someone that was mostly solo, so I can only imagine like being in the industry like when you're super young and like being around like all these people on set and having to maintain your image and like doing all these things. And I just feel like that's really hard, and I wish that there was like more resources for younger models to kind of like.
And that is actually, it's so funny that you say that because that's the next point. It's like, okay, so society listens to us bitch and moan, right?
Yeah.
That's how they hear it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, how do we fix it? And I'm literally like, you know how we fix this is you literally allow this to be a real job and you allow us to just be real humans. That's the answer. It's not any more complex than that. And I hate that people make it more complex. It's just no. We just simply online people who do full service sex work, people who have to cover their face to make fucking do feet pics because they have kids. Like every single fucking person deserves safety and protection and shouldn't have to fear whatever the fuck because they do fucking porn. It's absolutely, it's insane to me. And like that's the answer. You know, the answer isn't, oh well, 18-year-olds shouldn't do porn. Like the answer isn't people, like, no, we need to be able to give resources. It's insane that this whole industry is, like, looked at in this totally different lens when it's literally, like, as a sociology major who studied social groups of people, it's, like, what I did, I analyzed, I did on my own research projects. Like, it's really, like, the parallel of our community. I mean, I know I'm preaching to you as the choir, but hopefully listeners understand, like, it's not any different. Like, the differences, like, are not stark other than the fact that, like, I show up and I show up to work and I have to fuck and I have to be assertive about my boundaries. And I think that that's more agency to me. And that's what I think in the end can get complicated is when you don't know who you are, how do you know your boundaries? And then if something happens to you, like I've had scenes where I didn't have something on my no list and then I did it and I was like, oh wow, I didn't like that. That's on my no list now. And I literally write it down and it's now in a book forever on my no list. And I don't care how long the list gets. It's important that someone knows that, oh, I don't even like to be tickled the teeniest little bit of a bit, even on accident. It's going to ruin everything. And, that's a small example, but like, it's important that I found that out to know. And I hope that that's another complicated issue about this industry is, like people's boundaries get violated and then it feels like, it's like, that's so valid. But at the same time, like, it sucks that sometimes people don't even know their boundaries and then you do get violated. And it's like, that's the more complicated part of this. But nonetheless, people who work in a restaurant, like, they may be getting violated in ways.
I did.
Working in a restaurant that can't stop.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't make it stop. I had to work at a restaurant. Like I couldn't make my manager stop sexually harassing me. Even showing up and putting on a wedding ring, he still touches your ass by accident, grazing, like just little shit like that. Yeah. And do you know how much like more like I love being able to be on a porn set and just realizing that I don't like something and being able to like say it and then it forever hopefully being respected unless I'm, on set with someone shitty, which has actually not ever happened to me, but I know it does happen to other people. Definitely. And that's just like, it's this like, I don't want to like boil us down to like normal society, but like we should, because like we should just be normalized in society. This shouldn't be so. Anyways, obviously I have feelings about this.
No, I like hearing that perspective because like I get it. Like I'm someone who is like I'm so proud of my career. Everyone in my life basically knows what I do that needs to know. Like, and if people don't support me, I'm like fuck you. But at the end of the day, like even the people that know in my life, when they come over, I'm hiding my industry awards and I'm like putting away anything that has my industry name. And just because I feel like I can't have it in their face, and in reality, as long as it's like appropriate to be seen by family, and I feel like I shouldn't have that like internal feelings about it. And it's really interesting that you like bring up kind of like navigating your boundaries and figuring out like what you like and don't like while being in the industry, because me starting out so young, oh my fucking god, like I did an interview and they were like, what are you into? And I literally, in the interview, it's so embarrassing, but I was like, oh, I don't know, like, I just like it a little rough, and, like, I like to be choked, but, like, like, I didn't know what I liked. Like, I didn't know. I was just like, oh, I like it rough. Oh, my God. Now I could, like, tell them a million fucking things, but at the time, I was just, like, really finding myself, and so it's weird, kind of, like, getting to know what I like in this industry. I don't know if everyone relates to this, but, like, getting to know what I like in the industry is sometimes different than getting to know what I like in real life, like, sexual interactions with, like, a partner. And
Oh, yes.
it's hard to, like, figure out, you know, like, okay, I've explored this, like, I should probably explore this with my partner and, like, see if it overlaps at all or whatever. And yeah, because a lot of times, like, I'm doing something in a scene, or I'm doing something, because I used to do full service, like, I'm doing something for full service, and I'm like, this is fun when I do this with you, but if I took it home, I probably wouldn't have fun.
Right. And, you know, that's a part of the job, you know, and being another part that is really important. Being a performer and giving a fantasy. Yeah. That's what we do, and that's what we're supposed to do. It give. Like, even as I personally have never done, like, I've done session work, never full service sex work, but almost, essentially. Like, I've also, done scenes where it's a guy in a hotel room and paperwork and, like, whatever. Right. No, I was just saying that it's important to remember, and even in the conversation always of, sex work being accepted more, is it truly should be remembered that we are here to give a performance and a fantasy. And what I was going to say about, like, session work and full service work, even then, you are giving them a fantasy. They are literally, like, that is what, no matter, it's like it's the same. It is the same from the bottom to the fucking people who are making $3,000 a scene. It is the same exact fucking thing. We give a fantasy. We give a service that other people do, and, same but different. Like, it's actually so interesting. Like, this little funny thing. I had to go to a nail lady, who's not my normal nail lady, because she's so booked and so good. This was a couple months ago, but the lady that I went to had never seen, like, one long, one shorthand. And so she was like, why are your nails like that? And I was just, like, in a mood that day, and there was no filter. I was just like, oh, I do porn. And she went, oh, that is so cool. And kind of asked some questions, and then by the end of it, she was like, I guess I really don't see the difference between me going and picking up someone's foot and giving them a pedicure and doing this whole intimate thing with a foot. There's really no difference than you showing up to work and doing a scene. And I'm like, okay, because it's literally the same thing. And she's like, that is so amazing. Like, I'm going to start, like, she's like, I'm supportive of sex work. I've never really had a conversation that's, like, been able to, like, give me the metaphor of what I need to, like, say. And I was like, yeah. And I was just like, what an easy concept that was so understood. Like, oh, wow. Yeah. I do this with bodies and you do that with bodies. And I'm like, right. Exactly.
I love that point, because I feel like there's been so many people where I've had conversations, and I feel like we shouldn't have to give everyone our emotional labor every time they want it, but I've had so many conversations where, like, I'm the first sex worker or cam girl or whatever that they've ever talked to, and a lot of times if they were just exposed to it, there would be a little more understanding, but it's something that we have to be so quiet about. And so I feel like that is, like, an amazing point. Is there anything that you want to promote that you're working on? Anything that you want to say? Like, the floor is yours. Promote it. Tell people to follow you. Whatever you would like.
Thank you. I've actually honestly been thinking about starting a podcast myself. I have a layout, and like, maybe one day when she has time. She is busy. But just two things that I would like to say is that I know that there's a lot of sex workers out there who probably struggle with understanding also, like, what you deserve when it comes to love. I think that that's a complicated topic. And, I always kind of thought like love was supposed to be hard and you're supposed to fight for it and yada fucking blah, blah, blah. And, I learned that it's just like, it's not supposed to be hard. And like, there are people who love and support you, whether you are looking for a relationship or friendships or whatever. Like, the people who love and support you will never make you feel bad about who you are or anything. So, I know that this industry is a tough one and there's a whole other level of mental health, I think, that goes into it just because like we're judged on our looks. But like, just remember that like we're all allowed to deserve literal love, not like just things that we think we deserve. So just,
That's so
I
beautiful.
I hope everyone remembers that. And I have my DMs open on twitter.com/KAIIA_Eve. If anyone ever just like needs to, chat, I'm really busy, but I try to get back to my DMs once a week. And other than that, yeah, I have a whole link page, which is the easiest for everyone to find. Instagram, Twitter, custom video orders, my soon to be on website. It should hopefully be done by the end of this month. It's going to be fucking awesome. It will have membership side and you can buy all my individual, clips. And I do content as well. I do everything pretty much besides fart, anal,
I
and
noticed that about you, that you like really offer like everything from like kind of vanilla to like fetish as fuck to like literally everything. I was scrolling through while I was at the nail salon and I was like, she really does it all. Like, this is really inspiring.
that's something. Just I guess a third thing I could say. My biggest like kink turn on is like truly creating like porn that people love. Like I think like every single fetish that I have ever done and will do that I have not done, I'm like, that is so fucking wild and so cool that this turns you on. And it makes me so happy to just like I love it. Like I think that's like my true exhibitionism is like I just want to make people's fantasies come true. Because at the end of the day, thekaiaeve.com, like I'm a performer and I'm here to deliver an amazing fantasy and like, just hot girl services for my customers. So yeah, thekaiaeve.com and
That's great. I'm so excited that we had this talk because like we followed each other for so long, but I feel like I didn't know enough about you, and so it's really cool to like sit down and everyone go show Kaiia some love, follow her. I'll be putting her social media down below. I can't put anything X-rated down below, but I'll be putting her Twitter at least or her Instagram. So definitely go follow. And thank you so much for filling in and being on the podcast. I want to have you on again in the future too because I feel like I said, we could just keep talking forever and have so many things to talk about. So,
yeah, I mean if your peoples want to like be like, wow, I have more questions or whatever,
yeah,
like I always have one day a month for people I care about. And like you said, we have a mutual, and Layla is like, that is my daughter. And you are her best friend. So therefore my daughter's best friend is my friend. And
makes me so happy.
I of course have time for you, if whenever, just let me know. And yeah, like I am here.
Thank you so much for being on. Everyone, like I said, go follow, and I hope to have you on again soon. We should take a thumbnail real quick, so let's just be cringy for a second and just kind of like, you could do different poses and just for a second. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel like that's good. I'll just end up screenshotting it and then making a thumbnail. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording. I appreciate